shine.
So, now I'm an expert.
Well, that's a stretch, but you'll get there quickly. The only variable in making fudge is the amount of water. Generally speaking, the more water you use, the softer the fudge, and the less water you use, the firmer the fudge.
I like it soft and creamy.
Well, that's been our experience over 30 years. Most consumers agree with you. They prefer their fudge soft. They believe it is fresher and tastier. I think it's tastier too. And softer fudge has more shelf life because it takes longer to lose its moisture. Sometimes you make a flavor that's given as a gift. It may take a few days to get to the recipient, and you want it to arrive soft and fresh. But the question is, how soft to make it? You still have to cut it and serve it without it being too soft to handle.
So, if it's too firm the next morning, I know I should use more water next time?
Actually, 9 o'clock the next morning is not a good time to judge because you probably keep the shop cold overnight. So the afternoon is the best time to determine the consistency. It's also the time of day when you'll sell the most fudge.
What do I look for?
Take a tray from the day before. While it's still in the pan, lift it up by one end using the liner paper. Let the slab rest on your index finger. If your finger sinks into the bottom of the slab without you pushing it at all, then the texture is good.
Don't you love science?
It works. If your finger doesn't go into the slab at all, you need to add water. If it's too soft, you need less.
How much more or less?
Well, changes in the water should only be in 1/4 cup increments. 1/2 cup is a huge difference. That's only for fudge that is very firm or so soft the next day that it's uncuttable. Otherwise, 1/4 cup increments should do the trick. It's okay for the fudge to be slightly sticky and just a little difficult to get off the pan liner paper.
Will the water levels vary from one flavor to another?
They can. You should keep records for peanut butter fudge, fudge made with plain mix, penucci, chocolate fudge, sucrose-free fudge, and milk chocolate, just to be sure.
That way, in 1,000 years, some archaeologist can find it
and immediately know how to make perfect fudge. You also should keep track of fudge sales so you can plan your fudge making intelligently. You may want to add flavors or drop some that don't sell well. You don't want to make any that you won't use within a week. Of course, you don't want to run out either.
Well, let's say I've got some fudge that just isn't selling well. It's getting dry and it's about had it. Now what?
We rework it. Fudge really doesn't go bad, but it does eventually dry out. You may have a flavor that doesn't sell very well, or you've made some too soft or too hard, or you've got an unsightly piece left that you want to take off the counter. Always remove from the counter any fudge that is not top quality.
So I can rework it and really never have any waste?
Right. But you should normally have very little to rework. If you have a lot, you try to determine why. Maybe you're not using enough water, or you're making too much of flavors that don't sell quickly enough.
What if I want to rework vanilla fudge or peanut butter fudge into a kettle of chocolate?
That's okay. You can work about 1/2 tray of one of those into a kettle of chocolate because 1/2 tray is about 3 pounds, and the kettle makes 33 pounds, so it won't impact the fudge you're making. As the manual says, it's best to cut the rework into 1x1 or 1x2-inch squares just before putting them into the kettle during the last 20-minute step. And you should rework small amounts each time you make fudge rather than storing it up and having large amounts to rework. If the reworked fudge is very dried out, you can put it in the fudge mixing bowl and soften it in the microwave, and then add it to the kettle. It needs only 20 seconds or so for 1/4 pound, and you shouldn't over-microwave it because that could burn it. The only flavors that can't be reworked into chocolate fudge are mint and rum because they're so strong.
Too strong?
Yes, they'll overwhelm everything, but you can rework them into new mint or rum.
So I just store up this reworked fudge in a box or wrap it up till I need it?
No. Reworked fudge needs good air circulation to avoid mold developing. Sometimes you can't even see the mold. It should always be stored in an open container or fudge pan so that air can circulate. Never stack pieces on top of each other and never wrap them tightly.
Another good reason to use up the rework each time you make fudge.
Exactly.
So that's it?
Yes, for basic fudge making.